resolution fine?
Yeah, the resolution is fine. We're also live. Hi guys, welcome to Zero Chills TV, and today we are not late.
Yeah.
You guys just came in too early. We have one of the foremost art directors in the country. His name is Arnold Lakita Mwashumbe. He has nice hair, but of course, remember my hair is better. You always say my hair is better. And Arnold is here. And Arnold, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Zero Chills TV family.
Yeah, thank you. With you, people, and yeah, hopefully I'll learn something or two from you guys. Yeah, I don't speak much. That's about it.
Well, today you're going to have to speak much because I don't speak much also. I have limited saliva to lubricate my lips, so you have to do the heavy lifting today.
Okay. And this is interesting actually. I was thinking, flip this thing the other way. It's okay, just forget it. I'm knowing myself. I might just mess it up. So,
no,
like flip the orientation. Does that make sense? All right, cool.
Well,
what do you want to know?
Well, for instance, who are you? You know, whenever you go to an employer, they ask you, so tell us about yourself. Now, assuming we are HR, tell us about yourself, Arnold, and why we should hire you.
Wow. Jesus. What I'm about to say will probably make me unhireable. Because obviously, you know, when the difference between when you get into any job is you'd say all the right things so that you get a job, but as you get older and you reaffirm what you are and what you do, you stop bending. Okay,
Yes.
I'm an art director. Who really loves art? Because you know the thing that people don't get about art direction is it's kind of like a different animal in the advertising field. So technically speaking, I'd say I'm a bit of a wannabe artist, because advertising art and what the real world considers to be art are two different things. One's in a retail space and the other is more for personal consumption and for leisure. So yeah, that's what in between, trying to go back to his artistic roots or actually still pursue the advertising side of art, which is art direction, and still do something that is different and meaningful. And I love music a lot. I can be a bit too
Sorry guys, we seem to have lost Arnold for a second there, so I'll just be here entertaining you because, you know, life is tough. Msiniache, because, you know, I need you guys. Let me text him the link to join. How are you guys? You know, you can tell me sweet stuff there on the comments, and I swear Arnold is here, so thank you for being patient.
All right, can you see me? Sorry about that. I think the
Yes.
digital gods are not on our side. Maybe it's something to do with the rain. Right, okay, let me start again. My name's Ani. I'm an artist. Really a comic book artist, but I mean, a younger age, and then I got into advertising. It introduced me into a whole other spectrum direction, where you work with a bunch of different people, and what else? I want to be a musician. I'm still trying to fulfill my dream to finish my comic books.
Yes.
That's who I am in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot more, but yeah.
All the best in your comic book journey. We seem to be losing you over the internet kidogo. Yeah, it's breaking kidogo here and there.
Yeah.
However, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. But are you one of those? Do you start your day with motivational speeches, or do you just get on with it? Like, you can do this, Arnold. Ama you just wake up and get to work? What's your style?
Oh no, man! Waking up is hard already. I'm not really a morning person. But I have my own form of motivating myself, which most people do list. To-do list is visual. So I normally like have, because there's always like things I have to do. So I normally just sketch them out. Like I have this funny pack that I carry around, which has a bunch of pencils and some notepads and little tiny little things. So I sketch them in there, and I like what I see, because what you think in your head and what you put on paper are two different things. So it motivates me. My day gets going. Because I think it's rather weird standing in front of a mirror trying to give yourself a pep talk.
Well,
that's what I think.
Or not. Well, Ted Ngure is already asking questions, so I think he's asking, please ask if an art director had to partner with a copywriter, and if there's a formula to creating the perfect match.
That's an interesting question. And in truth, yes, it's always good to work with a writer, because what happens is you need someone to bounce off your thoughts, bounce thoughts off each other, ideas, syntax, to absolutely no formula whatsoever. You either get along or you don't. And interesting thing is, the word getting along I'm using very loosely here, because if you came to a place to work and that's about it, it's about working. So you will fight over projects, but that you might still go for a beer or might hang out. So from that perspective, if you are absolutely cool about fighting over work, that is 100% good chemistry. But if you just get along because you have great nights out, then that's not. But yeah, it's important to work with a writer. The best work that it's with the people I've been partnered with.
Yeah. He's also asking what's.
And I think I know Ted.
Yeah. Those don't confess those things. What's stopping comic books and animated shows from being a thing in Kenya?
There's a lot, because I mean the first time I was taken out of Kenya, and I realized out there things are people who write specifically write specific design work, people who do color retouching, etc. Over here, you'd find the average writer probably working on long form copy for magazines and stuff. Those are two different things. Or you'd find an art director doing design work. Art directors technically shouldn't do design work. All of these are specialized. So if you are in a country that can actually invest in, unfortunately over here we don't have those kind of resources. Just do me a favor after this, go look at any job thingy, the ones that they're looking for people to wear. You'll find that they're looking for a designer, but within that you actually need to know UX, UI, you probably need to know how to do animation. Those are things that are not supposed to be in, am I making sense?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Are you there?
We are here. We are here. All of us. We are many.
I seem to have lost you.
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me now? This technology thing is failing us.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear us? Arnold?
Okay, so what I was trying to say, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can clearly see that. But yeah, so I'll use myself as an example. When I started out, yeah, yeah, I can hear you very clearly. I thought I'd lost the signal there. I can hear you clearly. Yeah, totally. But it's okay. I mean, so long as we can get parts of it that makes sense, yes. Yeah, I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can. You are finishing up your points.
Let me do this. Let me walk into the studio.
Yeah.
It's a bit darker, but it will probably be faster. I'm assuming I can join from multiple.
Yes.
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 One second. Yes, I'm trying to see if I can join from the computer. Would that make it any faster?
Yeah, and better.
Hold on. Okay, so this is the thing. I am in the studio now. I don't know if the reception is better or better.
It should be better.
Okay, because I was sitting outside because the studio is pretty dark. I'm assuming you had sent it to my email. I want to see if I can join in from the computer. Oh, give me a sec. So I'll go on speaking as like I was saying, I'll use myself as an example. I believe average person only sign up. So you have to pick to log in, but it's technology clearly an enemy of the people. Click on the link. Close it. Okay. I hope it can load multiple streams. Okay, allow camera to access. Now, all right. I think I'm in the other. All right. Now you can see two of me. Or
Yeah. Now this one looks better.
Looks better. Looks better.
all right. Cool.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being patient with us. You know, this technology thing is not our thing, you know, it just, but Arnold is here and we are right in his studio. So there are some secrets he didn't want to show us in the studio, but now that he's brought us here,
Yeah,
we are happy.
this is roughly okay. I work from two offices. This is my friend's studio, Nameless, who I work with, my
Yes.
long-term collaborative partner. It's literally a music studio. It's soundproof. That's why it's so dark. And I'd chosen to go sit outside and do it from the phone.
Yeah.
Obviously, the phone has obvious issues.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the question. What are the things that stops people from being illustrators, 3D artists, and stuff
Yes.
in Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay, lack of hardware is one thing. The other thing is lack of specialization. Like I said, if you ever work out of the country, or if this is something that like you're in this kind of industry and you go and see what's out there, people are highly specialized. So you'll find that somebody has been interested in being an illustrator or 3D artist for quite a while, and they'll stick to that and major in that, as opposed to us over here where we try and do a lot of things and you end up stretching yourself, and you know,
Yes.
it's that whole of what's the word, mkulima. No, it's not mkulima. Like seriously, how can I forget my swag? That thing of jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You know,
Mtakayote.
so mtakayote. If you're a mtakayote kind of guy, that also doesn't help. But like I said, if it starts with lack of resources, then you also have to look at things like what are you willing to do so that you can get access to these resources. And then at some point you stretch yourself so thin and then everything doesn't work out. So we don't specialize here because of such things.
Yes.
And of course, internet access.
It's
not
of course.
cheap.
Yes. I'd like to give a shout out to Ovita, Ted Ngure, Michael Muyoma, who are all tuned in. Ovita is saying he's tuned in all the way from Naivasha. We don't know why he had to say Naivasha, but thank you, Ovita, for tuning in. Michael Muyoma is asking, what fuels your creativity? How do you keep the fire burning? And what is the best advice what is the best advice to a younger version of you?
Wow.
I'd probably tell myself to have stuck to being an illustrator.
Yes.
Because honestly speaking, like I said, I really love drawing. And the one thing that I always wanted to do was that, and it was a logical progression for me to become like a graphic novel artist. But that in my time, I'm not that young, by the way, in my time, that simply didn't really have a future. So, you know, you get into things like retail and marketing and advertising. It's where the money is. So
yes,
I'm not regretting it, like going into marketing, but it definitely taught me things, but it's not what I had wanted. So I would have, if I go back in a time, if I go into a time machine and I go back, I'd tell my younger self, stick to drawing, buddy. Yes, that's what I'd tell myself.
Yeah,
that's what I'd have told myself.
Yes, and Ted is asking, what are the 3 to 5 key skills that you think a creative needs to have today, apart from good hair?
Yeah, creatives and hair. That's like it's like shit. This light is so bright. It's like soccer players. What it is? Oh God, this is difficult. It's a lot of things depending on the kind of creative space you're getting into. If it's music, if it's, let's say, drawing or painting and all of that, all of these things have specific needs. But if I was to break it down, the most important one would be the ability to take criticism. I think that's really important because I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about other creatives, but the inability to take criticism can ruin you. You know, it's why you'd hear some creatives are too precious or they're too touchy. So, like, keep in mind that our job is about whatever you develop. People got to see it. You know, if you do an ad, the consumer has to see it. If you create a piece of artwork, the consumer or the art appreciator has to see it. So if one person comes along and says, I don't like it, and you throw a tantrum and not see how you can use that to fix yourself, that is probably not good. Not good at all. That's one. That's the most important one. The second one would be patience. And patience in the sense that everyone wants things in a hurry. I mean, that's the reality of the world today, right now. We live in an age of instant gratification because, you know, everything happens over here on the phone. You know, instant gratification. I can look at a website, order for something, or look at this piece of artwork, order for it, or whatever. So, as a result, there was this old saying that we had where we used to say, we gave up wanting it great, we ended up wanting it Tuesday. Now, time is really so important. And as a result, majority of people now, I'm still susceptible to it. We tend to like want to do things to meet deadlines as opposed to doing things to get them perfect.
Yeah.
So time management is everything. And the last one would be the most important as well. Actually, all 3 are important. The last one is basically the ability to work with anyone you're partnered with. Because the way the world is going right now, it's about collaborative creative. So if you can't work with people, unfortunately, that will destroy you.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about that. And I think for me, those are the three most important ones.
I like the fact that you're talking about collaboration, and well, coming up in this industry, what you tend to find is that people are a bit, how do I say this nicely, a bit selfish with working with themselves, because you always feel like someone else will steal your idea. But how then will you say, because the old guard, the generation that is actually facing out, maybe it was easier for them to come together and work together. But as now with COVID and all this scattering, I'm here, someone else is working from Meru. How then do we collaborate together to come up with ideas?
It's simple. You see someone's work that you admire, and you call them, or you write to them, and you're like, I really like your style of writing. Can I? Or you just do it. I mean, I did it. I think a day ago or something. Somebody that I know called Ahmed Salim wrote a pretty interesting, powerful piece about this whole lockdown thing. And obviously there are deeper layers to this. Like, yeah. I'm sure there are reasons, well-meaning reasons why this is supposed to happen, but no given solution to the end. But the way he had written that intro, I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. I want to put some visuals to it. And I didn't ask him. I just put some visuals to it, and then I tagged him, and he likes the stuff. Now, I guess technology enables collaboration to be a bit of an easier thing. So even besides the fact that there is a pandemic going on, technology, as much as it's sketchy over here in Africa, still contributes to collaborative thinking. So working with people is better now than it was then. Of course, it's all a matter of chance, like rolling a dice. It's somebody might tell you they're interested in working with you, and then they pay you. They take your stuff and run. And unfortunately, it's the way it is. You take the risk. Yeah. You have to be a risk. But it's advisable to try and work with people, because that's how you get exposure.
I remember while I was researching about you, I saw that your mother had a big influence a lot in you, because you technically grew up in Mombasa before you became a city boy. Yeah. And I'd like to know how much of who we are, or rather how much of who you are, has influenced what you do. How much personality of Arnold Lakita Mwashumbe do you put into your work?
A lot of it is what I want to be, as opposed to who I am. We all know who we are, but we all have these ideals that we aspire to. So, yeah, I guess technically that's still me. All of the things that I never had or want to have, I find ways into putting it into the kind of visuals or imagery or the kind of writing that will come in along the way. So, yeah, I guess, an artist is inseparable from what they create. So a lot of me is in my work.
Yeah.
A lot.
Then
probably way
that
too
will
much.
Exactly. Now that will how is it called? We'll borrow into the next question, because when you put a lot of yourself into something, you tend to become either insecure or a bit touchy. What's your biggest insecurity about your work?
Oh God, a lot. I embrace my insecurities, and I think, to be honest, it probably made me better.
Yes.
Because for 1 second, if I thought I was too good to feel insecure, then there's nothing like being too good. There are new artists coming up every day. There's better people out there, and for me, I realized when you look at something and you get that FOMO of, wow, you should be thinking, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I can work with that person, as opposed to, I wish I could draw like that or create stuff like that. No. What you can do is you. And that's a good thing. Just find a way to get over yourself. It's because, like I said, everyone's insecure. I mean, I know I am, and for me, it made me better.
It made you better as part of the. I remember when you're having the conversation, when I called you and then you told me, I think you probably think it's time for you to hang up your pen and pass the information to the upcoming generation. But do you think that do you think that the old guards have failed the younger generation with the one-on-one mentorship? What's your opinion?
You see, I'm a product of mentorship, so I can't say that. And besides the fact that it should probably upset a lot of people. Okay, how do I need to say this in the simplest way possible. It's 50-50. They did fail, and at the same time they succeeded.
Yeah.
You see, what happens is, when in my time there was these mentorship programs where they pick people from University of Nairobi or Kenyatta University, and they'd pick like five or I don't know, 6 people, and then but you get a very limited time, and then whoever they consider good enough stays around. But the thing is, it was very fleeting. So you don't really consider that internship to be something you want to stay in. They don't get into it. And over time it got worse because interns became cheaper labor.
Yes.
So it was a preference to keep cheaper people because your company would have less overheads, higher overheads. And, it's terrible. And then the ones that are favored would end up staying on, and you end up having a successful career or not a successful career or none whatsoever. But the point is, it's like I said, it's a game of dice. It's just that there are no, to me, as far as I'm concerned, there are no steps, there are no hard and fast rules on how mentorship should work in this country. It's very different from what I saw out there. So it's a bit more serious out there. Over here, it's pretty much about who you know, and truth be told, that's what it is.
Yes, it's about who you know. But then if you're a young creative out there, stationed somewhere in Kakamega, in your house, in your Simba, trying to come up with your own agency, multifaceted agency. But of course, you need this network. Like you said, it's about who you know. How then, as a young person, do you breach these networks? Because it's not enough to know where the table is. You have to have an in to get into this table. How then do you do that?
Wow. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, in our time, like I said, I'm not that young. We had libraries, or someone who has this particular kind of books and stuff. If you can't afford, there's this saying, if you can't afford to buy an airline ticket, go and buy a book, read, watch movies, talk to people who are better than you, talk to people who are older, talk to people who are patient enough to explain how stuff works.
Yes.
That's how I'd start. It all starts with exposure, and exposure is not necessarily being in a specific country or whatever. It's about the amount of material around you that you could use, be it books. And I think right now it's probably easier for people because, hey, internet, man.
Yes.
I read like almost every night about interesting things that I think I want to read about. So if I was a young guy trying to start out now, I would easily find a million things. Okay, of course, it's the problem now is there's information overload, as opposed to back then where the information was so blessed. So the problem is still the same. Now there's too much, you don't even know where to start. Then you had to be specialized and know that I want to be this. Now it's too much, but I guess better having a lot more than less. Yeah.
So it's all about putting yourself out there and looking for this information. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to ask. You shouldn't be afraid to look for information. Honestly, it's like the easiest thing to do. When I started out, I was pretty shy about these things. I didn't want to look like an idiot, and then, of course, so you don't end up asking about things, and then you try and do stuff based on on your own volition, based on what you think or how it should work. Yeah. And everything goes horribly wrong because you didn't. And then later on you find out, had I simply asked, ask the right question, get the right direction, the right path. Yeah.
But I'm sure when you're asking the right question, sometimes one of the answers that you get is no. And for you, having reached the level that you've reached, because you keep mentioning that you're not that young, when was the last time you told someone no, whether it's a client?
Wow. The last time I told someone no, it wasn't really a client. It was somebody who it was like my previous job, and it was such a weird space to be in, because he was really convinced he can be a designer, and he and I'm sorry to say this, but there is a specific mindset that you need to have, like I talked about, being able to take criticism, your ability to work with people or not, the fact that you do not take criticisms to heart and carry that. And this guy, as much as he had the enthusiasm, all the other boxes were wrong. Like I kept on crossing them off, like no. And eventually I told him, I'm like, you want me to do this? I was like, forget it. Go into printing or something, reproduction. And it broke my heart because as far as I was concerned, he had the enthusiasm. And like I said, these things keep on shifting, because I'm pretty sure when I was younger, I had the same kind of enthusiasm and still got everything wrong anyway. But I might have had some redeeming factors for some people to give me an opportunity to actually go forward.
Yes.
But this guy, he just couldn't do it. So I told him no. And I normally don't say no. So so that was about 3 years ago, I guess.
Okay. Well, probably he didn't have the mettle to make it in this industry. And, like you said, there's some specific qualities that you need, like the ability to take criticism. And in that case, I'd probably want to know, what is one of the most crushing things someone has ever said about your work? That you are like, aye, bro, this was too much.
Oh, wow. I have a good one, and I've never forgotten it, and I speak about it till now.
Yes.
And it's a bit of a long story, because if you understand the history of how advertising, because art already exists. Like, remember I tried to explain in the earlier part of the interview where art and art direction they might share the same operative word, which is art. Art direction is different. Art direction is your ability to be able to work with specific people to create a vision based on a brief and a strategy.
Yes.
Art already existed in Africa stuff, right? So you'd have African art, you have European art, you have this, and that in turn influences how and what kind of work that you do in other aspects of marketing or retail. So I remember this was in Ogilvy, and those days, after 2 years of working there, you get taken for these things, these programs. They're called SATP. It was South Africa something training, something Africa training program, something like that.
Yes.
And they'd pick either the best performing or 2 years. Like I said, I'm old. I don't remember these things. Anyway, I was one of those people that were picked, and I put together what I thought was the best of my work.
Yeah.
And I went and I met this guy. He's like a guru, or not like he was. He was called Robin Potter. And I showed him my portfolio. And he looked at it and he said, this is verbatim. He said, this is worthy. And I was like, what does that mean? He said, look, it will pass because the executions are clean, or, you know, the text is set correctly and stuff like that. Hey, Eric. And this guy said this. He said, well, the thing is, the work's worthy because it apes European work. It looks like work from London or something. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like, exactly, it doesn't look like it's from Kenya. And I was really mad about it. And later on, it hit me. It's like, and he explained to me later, because, you know, after the trainings, people meet up in the evenings for cocktails and stuff. And he told me, look, when you see work from Indonesia, it looks like it's work from Indonesia. When you see work from Australia, it looks like work from Australia. And now, again, like I said, this is a bit complicated because when we were pretty young, and Davi was one of the guys that I worked with, Eric, we were specifically taught that work should look in a specific way to win awards and stuff like that. And then you forget that you come from a culture that is also of storytelling, and you can tell stories from that region. So that was pretty crushing because, you know, my heart and soul was in that portfolio. And I've never forgotten it till now.
Yes.
Never. But yeah, that was possibly the worst criticism because it wasn't one particular job. It was like an entire portfolio. That's it hits differently. It's worse than somebody saying, you know, that particular campaign you did was crap. This is your entire... So yeah, I actually destroyed that portfolio. I don't have it anymore. That's how bad it was.
Damn, that must have hurt. So I think Eric was there to buy you a drink or something.
No. Eric went after me, but he had a better time because you know, writers have different ways of interpreting things as opposed to us artists. So that kind of it broke my noodle.
I'm sorry to open that Pandora's box and remind you of, you know,
No. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the way it is. I told you when you asked me the three most important things, the first thing that I mentioned was the ability to take criticism, and
yes,
I still hold that dear, and it never changes. It never does.
Okay. Which now you know when you mentioned about interpretation of things and how maybe writers and art directors interpret things differently, I like to know from you. You know, there's this concept of, I was reading somewhere, I think George Lewis was talking about doing good advertising and how to do good in advertising. What does that mean to you, you know?
Well, it's really the difference about, look, do you want to be interesting or do you want to be fantastic? Or what do you do? you get me?
I
There
get
is
you.
a difference between, there's a difference between, I don't know, for instance, if, and this is an example that I saw when I was an intern, and all the promos that we used to have for, this is a funny comment, Racha Benjamin, he's probably a writer. I like that. That's awesome. So anyway, yeah, there was this commercial that was done for this charity sweepstakes.
Yes.
You know those scratch and win things?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those things where you scratch and then you stand to win some stuff?
I even bought one of them, you guy. Huh? I would have been a millionaire by now.
So there's this campaign that I saw, and it's these people scratching their butts, their armpits, and all of that. And that was the difference between being interesting and being absolutely brilliant, where you take something ordinary and you make it extraordinary. And that's what advertising is. In Ogilvy, what we were taught, and I'm sure Ndavi probably said that, what we were taught was the consumer is not a moron. They're your wife. And which means that you can't like dupe people into buying your stuff or bore them into buying your stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to be a bit extra. Yeah.
The consumer is not a moron. She is your wife. Interesting analogy. Do you think then that advertising is a marriage? Do you think that, once you say I do to advertising, you can, or rather the creative industry, you can never let go? Or how do you see advertising? As a marriage or as a love affair?
Wow. Oh God. That just conjures up horrible images. It's probably both, to be honest, because
yes.
the thing about being a creative is being a creative is applicable to a whole lot of things. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you present yourself, how you sell yourself at an interview or anything for that matter comes down to your creative self. Okay. Now, you can apply your creative self to advertising. You can apply your creative self to being a salesman, to being an architect, or whatever. Creativity is eternal. It's universal. That's the thing. Advertising has its particular appeal. We used to joke about it during our time that advertising was the cesspit for all the failed authors, the failed artists, the failed film directors and things. But you realize over time that we still kind of influence people's lives one way or another. And so we learned how to compensate for it by, trying to do meaningful work and not lie to people and things.
Yes.
Yeah, but once you get into it, it's pretty addictive. The adrenaline that's involved with working in advertising, because it's like I said, it's right now it's during our time it was already hard enough, but I can tell because I'm a consultant now, but I can see that it's actually 10 times harder now because we live in an age where instant gratification. So deadlines have become closer because you have stock footage, you have stock libraries, you can buy images and things, you can send images to retouchers and stuff. Things that take you a month to a year to craft properly, you can easily be told it will take you 3 days or whatever. And it's not the way it works. That kind of removes the sexiness that it had. But yeah, it's a very hard industry to get out of, because it has its perks, it has its excitements. And if you're an adrenaline junkie and you love living on the edge of being threatened over work, hey, it's your thing.
Well, speaking of sexiness, Do you think then that advertising has become soft, or rather the creative industry has become soft? I'm sure you've seen when you go online all the I don't want to mention it lest I get cancelled on Twitter immediately after this show. But do you think that people have become too soft in this industry, such that, you know, there are things you just can't say even if it's meant in good measure?
Look, I think that was a whole problem with the industry in the first place. The whole creative industry. When I got into that industry, there was this pervasive thought where you have to be a hard drinking, drug doing person to be a creative. And you have to have this kind of humor that pokes fun. And yes, I've done ads that are probably not considered PC. Davi would probably be testament to that. We've done some campaigns that people would look at and go, man, those would probably be very offensive right now. The thing is, it's not about softness or anything. It's just that you have, like I said, you have to look at the area that you're in. For instance, the difference between Europe and Africa. The reason why ads in Africa were so simplistic and to the point, where you can buy a phone for this much money, would work. But now, if Africa manufactured 5 cell phones, it makes your job relatively easy as a marketer and a creative team. You don't have that many competitors, so you're not compelled to do out-of-the-box stuff. But if you go to countries that are far more way developed, people would do some outrageous things. It's why you tend to see more outrageous ads out there. So it's never about the industry being soft. It's part of the industry had a really pervasive culture, that's one. And it's also based on the number of competitors that an average product would have. Yeah. And if your creative director or your CEO keeps on pushing you back and telling you, well, this is not good enough, it won't get noticed, of course, as a team, you're going to get desperate and be like, okay, why don't we show a pair of tits on this? And then maybe people would buy our bras or something. You know, it's not about that. It's just about using your head. I've never believed in that. Never did. I fell for it, but I never did.
So listen, boys, you don't have to show a pair of tits to get people to buy the bra.
No, I don't have them.
I can't say any more than that, lest I get dumped. Well, having worked in the industry for such a long time, and now you're even consulting for Animal, and you know, sometimes when you work at an establishment, hey, let me sip some. When you work at an establishment for such a long time, you tend to become that establishment. I'm sure you understand that. You tend to fit into the system. For you, has that happened to you? And in case it has, how then do you differentiate yourself? How do you keep your ideas fresh? Bearing in mind, we don't want the cliche answers of, you know, you push yourself, you challenge yourself. We want something, the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay. Wow, this is a difficult question, and I have to answer it honestly. Where I used to work, Ogilvy had a very different culture where it was really immersive, where you become part of it, and unlike now when I ended up in Scanad and I started working with Teddy, and Ogilvy was more about family and things. Scanad was about performance, and the thing is that the work between those two agencies was absolutely different. But you realize that the end goal was the same. The end goal has always been the same. So, and it was really up to you as a person, not to fit in, but to look at what kind of work can you do based on this is what I was asked to create. or my team was asked to create this.
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to. And let's just put it this way. The culture, yes, it's important. You know, like kind of like a football club, it has its culture, being lads or whatever, and you have these agencies where it's about being family or whatever. But if you look at the end result, is everybody is supposed to perform. And I think that's where everybody got it all wrong. You let these subcultures get into the way. It's just really a HR guide on how to behave, basic behaviors and stuff like that. The reality is any creative can work anywhere. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You just have to use your common sense, and you have to pull your weight, and you have to realize that irrespective of how well, is that a word, irrespective? I keep using that word. Is it regard? Anyway, it doesn't matter where you go work. It doesn't matter where you go work. It's about, look, can you deliver what you're asked to deliver? So all of these other things are what we're pressing.
Yeah.
They're pretty much like a thinly veiled code of conduct, so to speak. Yeah.
It's all about the delivery, kusema na kutenda, no, with no political inclinations. Yeah.
Yeah, you might turn up on practice on time and all of that stuff, but if you don't deliver, you don't.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. If you belong to the culture, you belong so much, you're part of the furniture. If you don't deliver, unfortunately, you will be kicked out. And we saw that happen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I can't believe it's almost 1 hour since we started talking, and you've done a good job considering you don't like talking. You like talking with your pen and hands, which brings us to Rush Benjamin's question. You post every day on different platforms. First of all, congratulations. I see your hard work, and I'm like, guy, I think I'm the younger guy here. Kwani jamaa achoki? So how do you keep up, and how do you believe in working, creating every day? If yes, how do you balance this with being a family person?
I'm really a workaholic, to be honest. I tend to, like I said, if you remember earlier, I talked about how I really wanted to become an artist.
Yeah.
Like that was really the most important thing that I still hold dear till now. And so every time I'd feel low, I'd either draw or if I look at a piece of work where I think I could have done better, or I'd challenge myself to create something. So some of it is spec, some of it is like older stuff and all of that. And remember, I also talked about my insecurities. So you have to realize that most of this stuff I never used to post until a specific time of my life. It means that I actually started getting over myself and realizing that, look, you have to be proud of what you do. So that posting is about me looking at the work and going, well, that wasn't so bad after all, was it?
Not really.
And and family, I mean, I don't think I'll get into that. The whole thing about work, the whole thing about work-life family balance is probably a myth. If you're the kind of person that I think that I am, which and I think a lot of creatives are like that, where we hold our work on the same platform as babies, because literally it's a mental baby. So you just have to find a way to balance out how it works.
Hallelujah. So the key is to hold your work as a baby, which as we come to a close, after you, sir. Well.
Okay. How do I go?
Not yet. I still have a couple of. I'm not letting you until I ask you all my questions. I've looked for you for such a long time.
Look yourself out. All right. All right.
Now, I was reading somewhere that the definition of hell is that on your last day, you meet the person you became meets the person you could have become. And you, as Arnold Lakita, are you haunted by some of the shots that you could have taken when you are a younger creative or a younger person?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my God. It haunts me. I really get haunted about such things. The thing, this is what I said. It's a very multi-layered thing being a creative. And you have to understand that one can't overwhelm the other. And things like discipline, things like self-honesty, and for creatives, we tend not to give up, even though when we know we've lost a fight. And you tend to hide behind the fact that I can still do this, or I can be better, and things like that. So the problem comes in with discipline issues, especially when you think you become better. Things like adulation become self-adulation, and then you believe you can overcome anything. And those are things that you need to watch out for. If you're a young creative and you're coming up, you can't believe your own hype. You have to understand that like any other thing. Because going back to what I mentioned earlier, every single creative is actually the same person you'd meet in the street. Everybody's creative. The way you present yourself, the way you dress, the way you sell yourself. It's just that us, whatever people call us, choose to call us creative, artistic types, we just have a different way of communicating what we are or what other people want us to communicate of them. But you have to understand that you also have limitations.
Yes.
And once you realize that you've hit your limit, either learn how to take a break or you learn how to cut down on the ego and things like that. So those are the things that I'd love to remind either a future version of me. My younger version was absolutely chiller. So I think it would have been my younger version telling because as you get older, you lose a lot more patience. And you're like, what, I've got no time for this. I'm walking away. So, I think it would be the complete reverse for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're getting to the favorite. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting to the favorite part. Yeah. I was saying we're getting to the favorite part of the interview where now I ask you give me, and you having been in the industry for quite some time, obviously there are things that you've learned and that have been incorporated into your bones. I'd like to know if you could give me 5, like you said, we're living in the quick generation, instant gratification. So I want you to gratify me haraka with 5 quick tips to become a creative director.
Well, why do you want to limit yourself to a title?
Well, because essentially people will need to call you something.
No, what about a thinker? Look, that would be my first tip. I wouldn't. It's like going to a rich person and asking them, how can I become rich?
Yes.
Of course, there's so many millions of ways and easy ones.
Yeah.
Really easy ones.
Yeah.
You need to ask the right question. Remember what I said earlier. Ask the right question, you get the right answer. You heard about the famous, if you were told you have 5 minutes to live, Einstein was asked that, and he was asked, what would you do if you were asked if you have 5 minutes to live? And he said, that's the right question. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, That's the thing. Don't want to become a CD. What you should ask is, what can make you more creative?
Yeah.
Because that actually exists.
Yes.
Or, I wouldn't lie to you. There's nothing like inborn talent or whatever. A lot of it is practice. So I tell you right now, if you want to become more creative, just practice a lot in whatever field that you chose. If it's writing, write a lot. Learn how to write better. Take entire paragraphs, entire books, learn how to distill them into paragraphs. Look at your favorite artists and then learn how to reinterpret their work in your version. Look up how it's just research. Yeah, forget about titles. Those will come.
Yeah.
Next.
Forget about titles. Those will come. Okay.
Titles,
I feel
nothing.
Yeah.
Those will come.
Okay. Thank you. But a title can also help when you are looking for, when people want to introduce you somewhere. But that's just
Fair point. Everything is a means to an end. But like I said, that end, you have to look at the longevity of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How long do you want to be known as a thinker, or how long do you want to be known as a creative director?
Yeah.
There are people that we know that would still be hailed as the greatest writers in this country, in the world. Not the greatest novelists or whatever, not the greatest speakers or whatever. It's because they can transcend over and above what they learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 more questions left, and this one is also one of my favorite questions to ask every guest. Let's say it almost borrows from the instant question, but let's say today, God has, told you that, Arnold, I'm giving you, your work here is done on earth, and I want to call you home. And he tells you, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to tell anyone out there the 3 things that you hold true about your life, about career, about everything in the number of years that he has given you. What are the 3 truths that you know to be true?
About life or mine?
About the things that you've learned yourself, borrowed from your life.
Oh, wow. Wow. There are a lot. But God. This is people will let you down.
People will let you down.
Yes. Hard. Yeah, because it's the way it is. I'm a very sequential person, and based on what one of the questions, one of the guys that asked Ted Ngure about whether you can work well together with a partner or not, and the thing about the importance of that question is so heavy. You tend to realize that you can't deal without people.
Yeah.
So the whole point about our creativity, our ways of coping with realities comes from the people around us, weighs so heavily. And whether or not we think we're thick-skinned, that we can live without people or not, to me, it's kind of like a mute point. It's you actually have to live with people, and without people, and the fact that people know that we need each other, you have to be prepared with the end result, that some will either lift you or some will drop you.
Yes.
That's one.
The
second one is People will absolutely lift you up, the ones that care about you. So it's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Told you I'm very sequential.
Mm-hmm.
So finding the right creative to work with, finding the right organization to work with, finding the right friends, finding the right books to read, because all of this stems from people anyway. Yeah. So one leads to another. One expected result is people will let you down. The other expected result is people will lift you up.
Yes.
From an individual point of view, from an organizational, relationship-wise, from a countrywide point of view, a leadership point of view, you have to be cognizant about these things, and that kind of helps you helps you figure out how you can cope as a human, and a human first, and then from there as a creative.
Yes.
Yeah. And the last one, most importantly, and this might seem like a contradiction to what I said first, which is the criticism thing. It's very important to learn how to take criticism, extremely, because learning how to take criticism actually builds you well enough to be able to believe in yourself. Yeah. Those are the three truths I know.
The last one is learn how to take criticism.
Learn how to take criticism well enough to a point that it can build you up to a point that you can believe in yourself. In short, you take whatever negatives that has been thrown at you, and you use that to build you.
Wow. So, number one is people will let you down. Number two,
Yes.
but people will also lift you up. And lastly, learn how to take criticism well enough to a point that it can build you up. But before I let you go, there is part of your job, or rather to reach where you are, and you talked about it, is also about asking the right questions,
Yeah.
And I've been asking the questions all through this show, so I'm throwing the challenge to you. Ask me one question.
One question.
Yeah,
You.
just one.
What was the weirdest interview you ever had?
Weird. A job interview, this interview.
This, what you're doing right now.
Let me search the corner of my mind. Let me see. Oh yeah. There was a guy, I won't mention him because I'd need him later in life. But yeah, there was a guy who was a bit shifty, and they were a bit they scared me because they were answering things that I had not asked, and I think they plan to rather sanitize their name or something like that. So they were rather too cautious, and I like when people are free with me. So they give me safe answers, which was painful because I asked very nice questions. I think people told me I asked nice questions. I don't know.
I have one more. Bathroom break. 1 second. I'm coming. I have one more.
So what do I do? I keep talking to this guy. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And Lakita is coming. He's rushing to the bathroom. I don't know how you feel the show is. You can tell me there in the comments. I'm also wearing something that he designed. Tasker. So my friend Novida will kill me, but I had to. But yeah, I think it's been a good show. He's an interesting person, and forgive us for the internet connection. These things happen, but more or less. Yeah, so learn how to. People will let you down. Please don't let me down. People will lift you up, and learn how to take criticism enough to build you up. I don't know if you have been criticized, but if you have, you can let us know down there in the comments just to hear your side of the story. and the things that you feel about the advertising industry and the creative industry and how it is for you out here. So you see, Lakita is back and he's going to ask me another question.
Yeah, I gather you're an artist, right?
Yes.
Out of all the options that you had to pursue your chosen path right now,
Yeah.
was this out of choice or it was a final resort?
Okay. It was out of choice. Always out of choice. I was not coerced. I was not threatened with a gun. And yeah, it was more out of choice than the final option. It's actually more of a sacrifice for me than anything else.
Okay, so I think that's a great thing.
Yes.
That's it. Like I said, I don't talk much. You just got me in a talkative mood, but yeah.
Yeah, I prayed today in the morning before. I was like, God, please touch him. He has to answer my questions. But before I let you go, there's one final question that I'd like to know. How do you, as Arnold Lakita, Animal 2000, define greatness? How do you define greatness?
Wow, I think greatness is defined by the people around you. The people around you ultimately decide. Like I see greatness in other people. I don't see it. Case in point in myself. I think it's defined around you and the deeds that you do to become somebody that's cool enough for people to say, "Oh, that person is great." So I don't know. I can't define it. I guess it's the people around me who decide. It's defined by the people. I wouldn't know. What I see in other people that I think is great is what they've done to give back to community or to help other people and stuff. But it's a bit of a tricky question because we live in an age, like I said, instant gratification, and everybody is like, I'm the greatest. So those are areas I stay away from. I'm not.
You're not the greatest?
No. There's nothing like that. Like I said, I meet and I've met fantastically great and important creatives in my time. Creatives I've worked with, like Darby, like Teddy, like Andrew White, and so many. Like there's so many people I've met who I believe are absolutely great people, but you see, never came from them saying that they were great. It's based from what other people see. So for me, the definition is never from the self. It's from the people that you put it on, from the people around you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a beautiful chat with Arnold the Great. I know he doesn't like to be called great, but he's great for coming to this show. And that was a great thing you did. Before I bore you with all my great puns, I'd like to know, what's your plan for tonight? Not that we are going to, come, but what's your plan? What's the plan? After here, where are you going?
I still have work to do. Remember, I'm sitting inside a studio.
Yes.
This is a studio, a friend of mine's studio. That's his second office. The other office is further down the road. It's a long road. So I have specific jobs to finish. And it's when you freelance, you pretty much don't have a life. You work. Those are your plans. Yeah. So the plans for tonight is what?
You're working. Oh. Yeah. Oof. I wish we could help you, but You got this. You got this. You're a great man. No.
Thank you. You did. The interview is a pretty good thing because if it does help the people out there, that's great. It gives me more reason to go on what I'm doing, and that means I might do it till I fall down and die.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to the show. That was Arnold Lakita, Animal 2000. Why do you call yourself 2000?
It's a long story. The nickname came from, it's, again, everything about me is a long story. The nickname was given to me when I joined Ogilvy as an intern by the owner of Saracen now, one of the owners, Lenny Nganga, one of the directors. And because of what I used to listen to, I guess, and I was also a bit of a party animal, I used to be like really heavily into rock, and I liked this band called Def Leppard. There was a particular song called Animal that I really liked. And anyway, all he did was he added an R, ARNIMAL. And then like he constantly kept on calling me that, and it stuck. So when I tried, because I thought it was a unique name, the first time I tried to open a, because like I said, I'm not that young. I tried to open I think it was a Yahoo account, because Yahoo is probably older than me, I guess. I tried to open a Yahoo account, and the name, literally the name was taken. So I added the 2000. And that was because of the Y2K bollocks and all of that. And I got some really good responses, and I decided to keep it. That was it.
Well, guys, that was the Animal 2000. Animal 2000. So make sure you have a cool and unique name. Don't just call yourself Kevin, Brian, John. Do something creative. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. For me, I'm going home. I'm going to sleep because I've not been sleeping. Don't ask why. But thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we're going to have another amazing great guest. We hope we will have a cooler nickname than Animal 2000. But we are yet to see if we'll pass that. Arnold, any last words?
Be yourself. Just don't give in to fear.
Don't give in to fear.
Don't give in to
Don't
fear.
give in to fear. See you next Friday. Bye.
Bye.